Hey everyone, it's Kathy the Vegan Prepper, and we are here to do another couple chat, but first we're going to get some plants in the ground, and I thought you guys might like to see a little bit of what our garden looks like right now before we get into the video. Vegan Prepper, Vegan Prepper. Here we are, definitely in another video I can talk more about this, but yeah, we're pushing some spacing and all of that, but I tend to garden way closer than people say that you typically should. I garden in a very hot, dry climate. Obviously, water ends up being a concern, but honestly, plants, when they're closer together, they kind of shade each other and take care of each other. So this is how I tend to plant my beds. They're all very close, many different types of plants. I will say, for anybody who's dealing with hot, dry summers, hotter than normal, I do like to have vining plants specifically. In this case, cantaloupe and watermelon, mostly watermelon, but some cantaloupe, which take the heat very well. As the vines grow, I will train them off the sides of the beds to make sure that the entire bed is surrounded by a beautiful green canopy that helps keep the bed from drying out too soon. It will protect from heat, but also just moisture loss in general. And so I've planted purposefully kind of tall, towering, shading plants right around these pots so that hopefully in the summer months, those tall, nice plants will shade the pots. And anyway, pretty soon we're going to be mulching in here as well to kind of get us ready for the hot months, and hopefully my tiny garden, I used to garden in 8 beds this size. I'm down to 2. I talked about it a little bit in my last day in the life video, but hopefully we end up getting still some good yield from here and it all ends up being successful. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that little look at that one bed that we have going in our backyard, and hopefully I managed to do great things with just that one bed and then possibly one other one. So yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure, but definitely look ahead towards some gardening videos coming out this summer, especially. If you don't know this about us, first of all, I'm Kathy the Vegan Prepper. This is Adam, Mr. Vegan Prepper, and we live in the Phoenix area, so that's where I'm doing my growing and my gardening. I have been seeing a lot lately that there's a ton of people who are really struggling because they're experiencing hotter temperatures than normal, and they kind of are at a loss for how to make things grow in their gardens. And so I'm definitely going to be talking a lot about the things that I do here to grow stuff. So yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, do you have anything you want to like talk about your week or anything, or you want to just like launch into our topics?
Well, we can get into it.
Just get into it? Okay. All right.
Just working.
Okay. All right. So basically, I have been thinking a lot lately, you know, with everything that's going on in the world. Again, I've said it many times and I'll say it again. We try to keep this channel a safe space. It's stress-free. So we're not discussing all of the issues in the world and all of the, you know, multitudinous negative possibilities that exist, especially all the things. So we're not talking about that stuff, but we definitely are aware, and we're looking at kind of the things that we can do for our own preparedness and in our own lives. And so I think in the last couple chat we were talking about focusing a lot on bug out stuff, because a lot of the big concerns that are happening right now, whether certain types of conflict begin or you know, what have you. It seems like a lot of the situations lately, like with the derailment in Ohio and all of that, it seems like some of the major things that we're worrying about right now have bugging out as the most likely and needed solution.
Yeah.
So kind of focusing on some of those preps. And so I haven't really made a lot of progress, if I'm being totally honest. I'm getting caught up in a lot of the day-to-day household stuff. Where, you know, just the life that I live, we make everything from scratch. If you've seen a day in the life video, you know what my days look like, okay? And the things that, what I managed to accomplish in a day is like, I don't know, what would you say?
Impressive.
Impressive. Okay, cool. Thank you. I'll take it. But yeah, it's just a lot of what I do, and then trying to add even like, but that's just like just to keep the house running. Like that's just like the normal stuff I need to do to keep us afloat. So adding prepping type stuff on top of that ends up, you know, being kind of just kind of too much. So I've realized that I think the thing that I need is time. I need more time. And so the thing that I think of as far as for me, like the solution to that, to getting myself some more time, is going to probably be a huge declutter, which is something that I kind of always have worked on. Too much stuff has kind of always stressed me out. But to really pare it down to go like genuine minimalist, at least on our stuff, but definitely not on our preps. So we've talked about it a lot of times on the channel that we're kind of a weird mix where we're like, we do tend to be minimalists in our things, but we're definitely still preppers. So it's kind of an interesting mix. I don't know if you have.
Yeah, it's just about really focusing on the things that are good and helpful in life. And I don't know, I've never been into knick-knacky stuff, so.
Yeah. Right, and so you're focusing on, I think, in both minimalism and prepping. I think weirdly enough, even though they seem to be on opposing ends of lifestyle spectrum, I think both concepts are about giving yourself more freedom and more, you know, like a sense of rest and security and freedom. You know, minimalist, it's like get rid of all your stuff so that you can like relax, you don't have as much work to do and all of that. But I think with prepping, of course, you have your food stores so that you're free, you're secure, kind of no matter what happens. That was always the thing with minimalism that I never ever could get behind, especially like watching people who talk about, oh, I don't need to own this tool, I could just borrow this tool from someone. You know, and it's like
Wrong.
Right. Wrong. It's like, first of all, I find that attitude a little bit selfish, where it's like, I'm not willing to find space for this thing that I might need, so I'm just gonna get somebody else to let me borrow it.
We'll have somebody else store my thing for me.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a tool that you're going to use one time, then by all means, rent it, borrow it. But if it's something that you're using on a regular basis, you should own it.
Yeah, and I guess a lot of the people that I've seen talking about that kind of stuff, trying to figure out a nice way of saying it, but you know, I'm not being mean. I'm not dissing anybody. So don't read into that. Don't read that into what I'm about to say, because I'm just going to say it. It's going to take me forever to come up with my words. They're not really very DIY people. They don't seem, definitely not the kind of people that I would call self-sufficient. They don't seem to be, I don't know. Well, a lot of minimalism, I think a lot of the ideas behind it, they only work as long as the system is fully intact. So like people who say they don't want to keep food on hand because like if they need food, they'll just go to the grocery store. Well, that only works as long as there's food in the grocery store, you know? And it is, you're outsourcing your food storage to the grocery store. I've said that many times on the channel. But you're right, it's like you're getting somebody else to store your things for you. So I think as far as your self-sufficiency, the things that are necessary for your living and for your surviving in whatever various situation, those things you absolutely have to keep on hand and absolutely have like duplicates of those things. You know, but yeah, as far as like you said, knick-knacky stuff,
yeah. I even look at some of the gear that I have and I wonder, should I still be storing it? It's like when my late teens and early 20s, I did a lot of backpacking. So I have a big multi-day capable backpack. It hasn't been used in 20 years. It just is on a shelf in the garage. It is expensive and nice, but it's covered in a trash bag and it doesn't get used because I'm not at a point in my life where that's what I'm doing. So I wonder, should I keep that for another 20 years until it disintegrates on my shelf? Or should I sell it and let somebody get some actual use out of it while it's still good. And then if I decide I'm going to backpack again, let's get another backpack. Maybe I'll find a used one that somebody else is not currently using.
Yeah.
But it takes up room on a shelf. I built a shelf to put things on that I don't use. So it's like I went to, I spent money and took an afternoon to build a big overhead shelf in the garage so I could put things on it that I don't use.
Well, there's a lot of, but there's like Christmas decorations and things like that. Like stuff that's like I only use it once a year, but it's like I'm not gonna get rid of it because I want to keep it because we want to make Christmas nice, So anyway, I guess it just sort of depends on everybody. It depends on what you like. It depends on your situation. It depends on your life and the way that you live your life. That's like for me. I get really irritated too at a lot of minimalist channels because they're very bossy. Like a lot of them are like extremely like I am your mommy now, or I am your daddy now, and I'm telling you the things that you should do and shouldn't do. So like for instance, my one of my favorite examples of this is people who say you shouldn't have anything on your kitchen counters. Don't have anything on your kitchen counters because it's like so free and easy to just like have your kitchen counters completely free of every single appliance. Even if you use that appliance every single day, put it away because reasons, I don't know, like you feel nice walking into a kitchen that's completely empty. And it's like, well, for one, not everybody agrees. Not everybody likes that. But I've heard that advice on so many channels, like people basically saying like, just do it and like, thank me later, basically. But that's one of those where I'm like, no, there's no way I'm going to do that. Now, I do only put the things out on our counter that we are using pretty much every single day. Things like the Instant Pot, my Vitamix, the electric kettle. I have our grain grinder out, which is not a daily use thing, but it comes, often enough. And I know too that if I put it away, also, I think that this advice is only good for people who are not neurodivergent. Because if anybody deals with anything like ADHD, ADD, autism, any kind of those like, neurodivergence or whatever kind, a lot of times the biggest hurdle to starting a task is starting. So you say, oh, it's just a couple of seconds to pull your blender out. But I guarantee you that there are people who exist where if they have to pull the blender out first, they're never going to make the smoothie.
Yep.
And so and I know that probably sounds to a person who's not neurodivergent, that probably sounds insane, but this is true. So this advice, like it doesn't work for everyone. And so that's why I'm saying, really, it's cool. Own your life, own your space. Whatever you want to do, just do it, okay? That's what works. And so
it's also very valuable to make doing the right thing as easy as possible. Because having a clear counter is good for taking a photo, but it doesn't make doing the right thing as easy as possible. It's just like I try to put my running gear out the night before, so when I wake up in the morning, going for that run is as easy as possible. I'm not waking up and realizing that my shorts are in one drawer and my socks are in another drawer, and I'm gonna have to open those drawers, and I might wake Kathy up, and then I'll have to get my shoes out of the closet, and now I'm, rather than being up moving, I'm thinking about the places I have to go to get this thing done that's already hard.
True.
So just making it as easy as possible. So
right.
If you are committed to juicing, then your juicer should be out.
Right.
If you don't slow cook, then your slow cooker doesn't need to be out.
Right.
Unless that's like you've decided I'm doing a no spend month and I'm going to do a lot of slow cooking, then get that sucker out. Make it easier for yourself to not go to the grocery or not go to the restaurant.
Yeah. Because we did used to have like every single appliance we own out. So I sort of took the advice partially. So our most used things are out. So
the stand mixer isn't on the counter anymore because it's not something that we use very
Yeah,
frequently.
exactly. It's on a shelf in the laundry room. And so when I need that stand mixer, like a few times a year, or I don't know, I can't even remember what I use it for, but I'll just pull it out every now and then and I'll use it. And when I use it, I really appreciate that I have it, so I'm not getting rid of it. But yeah. So anyway, you have to tailor advice to what works for you. And that I think to me is like the most important thing that I could say. Again, own your space, own your life, own your routine, own your choices. And what works for you is what works for you, and what doesn't work for you doesn't work for you, and it doesn't make it wrong just because it works for somebody else. So everybody has to kind of figure out for themselves what works. Yeah. But yes, decluttering, I think, and like real decluttering, I think we've talked about it on the channel, but really like getting rid of so much stuff. So I've already been kind of quietly selling things in the background, and we're getting stuff, kind of getting it out of here. And then I watch a lot of Minimal Mom. I like her because I think that she is one of the least bossy minimalist channels on YouTube. And so I will definitely link her channel down below, but she talks a lot about how decreasing your inventory just lightens your mental load, and it just makes you have an easier and better life. So yes, we're going to decrease the inventory of the extraneous stuff, not of the preps. That's different. That's not stuff, it's preps.
We might have some more room for some more preps.
Exactly.
Some junk we don't need.
Exactly. Okay, so I also wanted to talk, I guess, a little bit about this past weekend, right? And then it's going to segue into your topic. He has a topic.
Well,
isn't that awesome? I'm so excited. So anyway, the kind of awesome thing is this weekend I had 2 days in a row, Friday and Saturday, when I walked most of the day with my backpack on. I think that I have shared in some relatively recent videos that my everyday carry has shifted from a few years, and I have, I think, 2 or 3 videos, I can't remember, with my old backpack, my sling backpack. There were like 2 or 3 videos that had my EDC that was in the backpack. I switched it out for kind of a super minimalist EDC that I was just using as an over-the-shoulder purse. And then now I've switched back to a backpack, which is kind of one of the steps that I've taken as a result of trying to think more about bug out stuff, that I have a lot more of my gear with me. And so I'm also working out, like, for those times when I don't necessarily want my backpack. Like, for instance, today at church, I was dressed up and I didn't want to bring my backpack in. So I have my purse stashed in my backpack, and I'm still working out what should go in the purse, what should go in the backpack, stuff like that. So that's the kind of stuff I'm working out before I produce my next EDC video. I want to kind of have those details worked out before I talk about it, like I know what I'm talking about, because I don't know what I'm talking about yet. So I wanted to just sort of talk about the weekend because it was an unexpected, kind of very positive thing, that I had that backpack and I walked a ton again, several hours on Friday, almost basically the entire day on Saturday. And I felt great. I did amazing. So it was in the heat and everything. Now, granted, this is not real heat, but not yet. But it was like kind of encouraging to me that I was able to go as long as I went, and like it all worked out. I was carrying so much stuff, especially yesterday at the Renaissance Festival. I started off so it was my friend and I went to the Renaissance Festival with 3 girls from church, and I had, like, one of the girls' moms sent like half a case of water. It was crazy, and water bottles. My backpack got stuffed full of water bottles, and I was basically you carrying all the stuff. And I carried that through, and I kept being like, does anybody want water? Does anybody want water? Please take a water, So my backpack did gradually lighten throughout the day, but, being able to carry like a really heavy, it was heavy. I wish I could have waited. It was very heavy for me anyway. Through the day, totally fine. Fresh as a daisy, basically. Like, I was energetic. I was happy. I was like, even today, like, I'm just full of energy and happy, and just feeling good. I'm barely sore, which is kind of the other thing that was really surprising to me. I don't know, like I was like, I don't know, I was just really encouraged because I've been like really afraid of how capable I would be in a situation like that, you know? So I was just very encouraged. I'm really I'm like, is it true or not that I'm ridiculously hard on myself?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, wow, I'm not a complete failure. I can do a thing, you know? But I did want to share it. So that was kind of positive. It was a positive experience wearing the backpack. I think that making the backpack part of my everyday is a good, like a really good preparation for needing to have a backpack in a situation like that. I do have a little bit of soreness up in my shoulders and kind of in the very lower part of my back, you know, where I was mostly supporting all that weight. But almost nothing. Like I just did gardening and stuff and I'm fine. But yeah, getting used to carrying a backpack every day, I think is a huge help. It was also a great test of the things that I have in the backpack. My friend was so funny all day long. She doesn't know that I have this YouTube channel. Actually, most of the people that I know don't know that I have this YouTube channel. I don't tell people because I feel really embarrassed at the idea that anybody watches this. Like, please watch, but please don't watch. So I don't tell her, but it was funny how many times the word prepare/prepared came out of her mouth talking about me. And like, I also don't really talk about prepping a lot to the people that I know. And yeah, she was like, gosh, you came prepared. And she's like, gosh, I should have come prepared. Or, wow, I'm so glad that you were prepared for this or prepared. Like so many situations came up and I was like, oh, I got something in my bag. You know, like I just like pulled stuff out like all day long. And then the last thing I really wanted to talk about as far as my pack went, because it was the Renaissance Festival, which is famous for turkey legs. And turkey legs? I guess basically like every promotional photo shows everybody with a big turkey leg. There's like no food for vegans at the Renaissance Festival, which is not surprising. I don't expect there to be. But my bag, I've talked about in another video, is stuffed with Larabars. So this is the fuel of choice that I have chosen for my own personal backpack as far as fuel for, you know, situation, I guess, like that, right? Where I have like literally no options. So basically I had a smoothie in the morning and 2 Larabars. And I got through an entire day of walking and, you know, I never felt faint or tired even one time. I felt amazing. So this is some decent, solid, awesome fuel. So not sponsored whatsoever, just Larabars. These particular flavors chosen for our own family's needs. No chocolate because I don't want it melting. But these are basically just dried fruit and nuts. They don't last forever. They need to get replaced. So these are not like long-term, but I think this is a great option for people like us who live in a very hot climate. No worry about it melting. It's not getting everywhere when you're opening it. Probably if it had chocolate chips in it, it would. But I just want to mention that, like, this was really good fuel. I'm very happy with the way that I performed both Friday and yesterday. Basically just fueled on this because there were no options either place I went. So, yeah. And then we got stuck in traffic. So now, do you want to talk about your thing?
I was
or you want to talk about this?
Thinking about the Larabars. I had to go out of state for training for work, and there was nothing for me to eat there. They asked for my dietary needs, and then they didn't provide anything for it. So I ate granola bars and basically the whole week. Yeah. It's like just had my, when prepared, like there's probably gonna be nothing for me to eat here.
Yeah.
So, ate a lot of granola bars and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's solid and it's good. You know, dates, almonds. This particular one, which is my favorite, I like the almond cookie better than the cherry pie one. This is pretty tart. This one's good. It doesn't taste like a cookie. I don't know why they call this cherry pie. It does not taste like pie. It's like It's
setting up really bad expectations for something that's gonna not taste like the thing that they say it's gonna taste like.
Exactly.
I like them.
I do too.
But they don't taste like cake or pie or
No.
cookies or anything like that.
No, it's dried fruit and nuts. That's what it is. And it's good.
I dig dried fruit and nuts, but
yeah, each of these is 230 calories, so it's a solid little bit of stuff, and it's just like almonds, dates, apples. This particular one, sea salt, almond extract. So yeah, it's just good stuff. Just like the stuff that God made. It keeps you fueled, keeps you good. And well, maybe not almond extract. I guess God didn't make that, but regardless. Okay, talk about your thing. I've been talking too much. I'm happy, so I'm like. So.
Yeah. I've been thinking probably for about a week, and it just kind of came to a head yesterday. Kathy mentioned that she got stuck there. The parking lot was all jammed up, and I was expecting to see her at a certain time at church, and then she wasn't there, and there was no cell phone coverage, so I'm kind of...
I got there like 2.5 hours later than we expected. But
yeah, so that in itself was multifaceted in my brain of I've been thinking a lot about get home strategy. I've got a pretty decent idea of how I would get home from work and what roads I would take and what resources are along the way. But that is only if I need to get home from work. So I've been kind of just working through in my head a more generalized strategy of needing to get home. There seems to always be something that's a potential for causing an issue for us to be able to get home the way we think we're going to be able to get home. I mean, a simple traffic accident can leave you stuck for hours. A plugged up parking lot can put you in a situation where you have to leave your vehicle. I mean, all it would take in like that situation is a car to catch on fire. Nobody's getting out of that parking lot. It would be a mess. But yesterday I was trying to figure out a strategy for how I was going to go and get Kathy out of a parking lot that I couldn't get a vehicle into, in an area that I probably would be very plugged up with vehicles.
Yeah, the traffic around that thing is no joke.
Yeah,
it's bad. It's really bad.
So I didn't really come up with a strategy for that. I was thinking about all of the friends I have that have motorcycles that I could go and borrow a motorcycle from and go and rescue or whatever. But the reality that she could have very easily been in a position that I couldn't get to her, and that she would have to potentially walk out, is far from our house.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, that's not a walk that would be very simple in a single day. I mean, close to 40 miles. But yeah, it's got me thinking about my gear, my physical fitness. I've been nursing a knee injury for the last 3 months. I'm pretty much back up to, I wouldn't say full strength, but ready to get back up to full strength. And
you're doing pretty well today. He was gazelling on these rock formations. We were kind of playing near a playground, and there was these rock formations, and he's just like like all over the rocks, like a little mountain goat.
Yeah.
So you were doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to spend some time and reassess my gear, reassess what I carry with me all of the time, because I have my get home bag, but it pretty much only goes with me when I go to work. So Like
Yeah.
Kathy's starting to carry this bag all the time has got me thinking similarly that the bag doesn't do me any good if it's sitting at home.
Yeah.
And really the bag is less necessary to get me home from work than it might be to get me home from many of the other places that we go. So
yeah, I was thinking a little bit too with being stuck in that parking lot, like thinking about just walking back in stages, obviously, because nothing really happened. But of course, what if something really happened and I needed to walk back? Like, could I do it physically? Probably not, as well as I did. It's not 40 miles, you know, over hills and stuff. And so right up the road, though, I was kind of in stages. Right up the road, there's a few miles up the road, there's like a Walgreens. It's like, maybe if I can get to the Walgreens, I'll be able to call or something. And, you know, so like in stages.
In that reality, I could probably meet her part of the way.
Right. You know, so, but yeah, it kind of begs the question, like, what do you do when you have no communication, no cell, no nothing? So that's like some questions for another time. But yeah, thinking of the fact that my friend had picked me up, so I was not in my car. So there's a lot of gear that I don't carry in my backpack because I assume, well, if it's not in my bag, it'll be in my car. But yeah, what if I'm not in my car?
Yeah.
Like I didn't have my stove with me. I didn't have my cup for like boiling water. I didn't, you know. So yeah, but it's like, then it goes back and forth, right? That you're like, then how much am I supposed to carry literally in my everyday life? Like,
right.
Oh gosh, those are the questions that end up being difficult.
Yes.
Like balancing out your preps with like, it's like your comfort of daily living, which I don't know, there's some like hardcore people out there who are definitely not watching this, but who would be like scoffing at that. But like, come on, like, really? Do you like anyway?
Yeah, it's all about the probable versus the possible.
There you go. Thank you.
So I treat my get home bag as exactly that. It's not a bug out bag. It's not a multi-day bag. It is just what I would potentially need to get home to my real gear.
Yeah.
So I will do a video on that shortly. I am kind of redoing stuff a bit, so no real sense in me going over it right now when I'm going to make changes in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But stuff like a rain poncho. Should I need to get home in the winter and it's raining, that's a game changer, staying dry. In Arizona, it's not that big of a deal. We don't get a lot of rain and it doesn't get cold that much. But if you are wet and it is cold, then it becomes an emergency situation.
Cold, but still, but like when we do get rain, we get some rain. So,
it's hard.
Yeah, and actually there's like flooding potential. Like we have a lot of flooding because people keep ripping up the desert, so there's nowhere for it to go. So.
Yeah. So, yeah, I carry stuff that will make it safer and more possible for me to get home in one piece and in a reasonable amount of time. A little bit of food supply, ability to acquire and treat water. That's a big one. I probably should carry ready to go water all of the time. I'm pretty good about that, but not always.
We slack off in the colder months.
Yep.
On the water carrying, that's for sure.
Summertime, all the time.
Every single time.
Yeah, because
you don't go
in the summer here, not having water is an emergency really quickly.
Yeah.
So
you don't go anywhere without water. Yeah.
But yeah, kind of reassessing my lax attitude on having that kit with me more frequently. Mm-hmm. I'm in the same light. I'm kind of reassessing my everyday carry to be a bit more bulky. I don't like carrying a lot of stuff. I mean, I carry my everyday carry video that's on the channel from like 3 years ago. It's unchanged. I carry the stuff I carry and it works for me, and I don't know how I would live without it. But there's a few things that I consider. I was talking to a former Army sergeant that I work with, and he's just talking about some of the stuff that he's seen in everyday life. And he's like, I carry a tourniquet all the time because when you need one, there's nothing that nothing that's going to work as good as a tourniquet. It's small-ish and relatively light, because I carry one all the time, because he's seen people really, really need it. Not just in military life, but in some of the other stuff he's seen in life, and it's thinking, man, it's not that much weight, and it's something that could be really, really important for yourself or for somebody else. Mm-hmm. A lot of people say that if you are carrying a firearm, you should be carrying a tourniquet, because you might need it to save a life, whether it be yours or somebody else's. So,
yeah.
But yeah, little stuff like that. Yeah, just wondering if it's just smart to carry a little bit more stuff.
Yeah, and for me, I guess it's less of a concern for you, but for me, part of wanting to carry more is exactly, I think, what I did mention, like getting used to carrying.
Yeah. The
weight, getting fit enough to carry more weight on me more often. But like I said, I don't know, like I said, yeah, I am very hard on myself, so I'm not trying to show off or whatever, but like, yeah, I was really surprised at how much I was capable of doing this weekend, more than I thought possible. So
yeah,
it was very encouraging to me. Yeah, I guess I am stronger than I think I am. So that was a good discovery. But obviously, I can get stronger. So keep improving. Why not? But anyway.
But yeah, just like it as an encouragement to consider your own situations and the places that you go and the environment you live in, and mm-hmm. thinking about what would you do if suddenly you can't just drive home, or you can't just walk home. I'm thinking about, I was last year, the year before, that horrible storm on the freeway somewhere in the highway somewhere in the Midwest.
Virginia, I think.
And somebody sneaking in there.
We have an invader. I guess it's been a while. Hey, honey.
And like, those people were stuck, and
it's okay, you can talk.
So yeah, just thinking about your own situation and considering what would you absolutely need to get back to your house, back to your base camp, or to some place where you could get assistance. You could consider who you might have along with you, because that changes everything.
Case in point.
Getting home with her makes everything a lot more difficult.
Yeah. Changes things for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, I will get my get home bag video squared away and get that to you guys pretty soon.
Yes.
And I know I'm bad about saying I'm going to do a video and then actually doing it. I still have a multi-tool video, and that needs to kind of be redone because I wasn't happy with the way it turned out.
Yeah, you work very hard, and the time that we have together is precious, and so we tend to, the time that you have, you tend to spend it with us.
Right.
Which I appreciate. So, yeah.
So, like, comment, subscribe, and get the money rolling.
Get the money rolling.
I have a big mouth.
I'll be able to do more videos.
I have a big mouth.
You do have a big mouth. Goodness. Okay, just a second. All right, so yes, hopefully you enjoyed that. We are obviously being cut short, which is good because it's not actually short, is it? And so anything you have to say about any of that, comment, let us know, continue the conversation, and especially like if you do have questions or comments on stuff that Mr. Vegan Prepper talks about, it's usually me responding to comments, but if anybody ever, asks him a question specifically, I do make sure that I show that to him. And yeah, I guess as always, I hope the rest of your day is good and your life stays wonderful. I hope you got something good out of that. We will see you later. Bye.